37-year-old comedian, actor, writer, producer, and best known as a writer for Saturday Night Live and his own stand-up specials on Netflix. A few weeks ago, I happened to hear John, and that's right, John, this guy's name, is the same as John who wrote our scripture. Well, anyway, I heard John when he hosted Saturday Night Live. In his opening remarks, he asked the audience how many had fathers between the ages of 60 and 75. And I think maybe his own father might have been in that age group. Well, he said, what's going on with them? What's wrong with them? They're very emotional. They hug like one of us is about to die. My dad has no friends, he said. Your dad has no friends. What's going on with them, huh? Well, you know, my mom has friends, and they have husbands. Those are not your dad's friends, although they hang out together. Why do baby boomer dads have no friends? Well, I have some theories, he said. They forgot. They want to be alone. Well, what do they like to do? They go into a room alone and read about World War II, like they are cramming for a World War II quiz show. Another theory, dads only care about money. You're not allowed to talk about money in the States. I asked my dad what he's making this year. You know what he said? That's personal. Well, it's hard to have friends if you're a dad. And then he went on. That's one of the greatest miracles about Jesus. He was a 33-year-old man, and he had 12 best friends. And they were not his wife's best friends either, husbands either. Think about it. He didn't meet them a long time ago in school. No, in his 30s, he had 12 best friends. And I went fishing with my dad once. And these guys went fishing every day. They were all best friends. He did magic tricks with them, and they loved it. He was good, well, great at magic too, except one time at the end, he forgot. And when they were dragging him away in chains, then even his best friends forgot they knew him. Now we better get serious and talk about the scripture reading. I know it was kind of long and hard to follow. It started out right off with Jesus and his friends walking along and running into a blind beggar. This man, blind from birth, it said. By the way, they are near Jerusalem, somewhere in or around the temple area. Right away, the disciples, his friends, start asking Jesus about sins. Did this man sin, or was it his parents? What's sin got to do with it? Well, it seems that they were under the impression that the man's blindness was a punishment for sin. Jesus tells them that it wasn't sin. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. Now, Jesus doesn't want to talk about sin. He's getting ready to do some magic. But we know the whole story of Jesus, and we know that the magic Jesus does is really something involving his power and relationship with God that we call a miracle. Now, one would think that this story from Scripture is about blindness, not being able to see. The blind man, who, by the way, is never named, this blind man had never been able to see. Think about that, never being able to see. And to be cured of his blindness was a marvelous awakening for this man. The story tells of another level of the meaning of blindness. John, the gospel writer, uses light and darkness, blindness and sight as powerful metaphors. Light and sight speak of understanding, while darkness and blindness are symbolic of the lack of understanding. Even the evil of refusing to see what is in plain sight in front of you. John has incorporated into this story an incredible miracle, not really magic for us believers. Jesus, in fact, could have cured the man's blindness on the spot. Instead, he used ordinary dirt and his own spit to form a healing salve, which he applied, and then tells the man to go wash it off in the pool of Siloam. Now, it gave the man a part in his own healing. Imagine, if you can, this blind man finding his way to the pool and washing the mud off. It must have been a very difficult thing for him, and we are not told how far it was for him to have to go. The Bible gives a clue to the meaning of the name Siloam as sent. The man was sent to the pool for healing, and the water in the pool was sent through an ancient aqueduct, tunneled through rock during the reign of King Hezekiah some 7 centuries before. This provided water inside the walled city of Jerusalem in case of a siege by the Assyrians. The water in the pool was an important source for everyday uses by many people, and now is the source of healing for this man. Blessed with this miracle, this is not the same man who had been just a beggar. When he got back, the neighbors and people who knew the man before couldn't figure out what happened. This can't be the same man, they kept saying. And he kept saying, I am the man, I am the man. I was blind, but now I see. Jesus, though, has moved on, no longer around. But the man told how he had cured him. Now you understand that this blind man had no standing in the synagogue. There was some kind of a sin involved in his being blind. Well, it became an issue for the Pharisees, these religious leaders. Being cured of blindness by a miracle seemed to be okay, but such a thing should not happen on the Sabbath. What was the issue for them is that who works miracles on the Sabbath, breaking the law of Moses. Jesus, the perpetrator, could not be a true prophet and break the law. The man insisted that Jesus must be a prophet. The man's parents are called into the controversy. They don't want to be involved. Their standing in the synagogue was at stake. They deferred to their son. Ask him, he said. And they stuck by his story. Well, the Pharisees were adamant about keeping the law and breaking it by performing a miracle on the Sabbath. They were blind. They could not find it in their hearts to believe in Jesus. The last paragraph of the reading is a touching story of the reunion of the man and Jesus. Let me read it. Jesus heard that they had driven him out, and when he found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered, and who is he, sir? Tell me, so that I may believe in him." Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he." He said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Jesus said, "I came into the world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard this and said to him, "Surely we are not blind, are we?" And Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would not have sinned. But now that you say we see, your sin remains." The pronouncement by Jesus that he came into the world for judgment, so that those who do not see may see, and those who do see may become blind, seems strange to me, since John 3:17 states that God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. Now, some of the Pharisees are within hearing, and they question their inability to recognize Jesus. If recognizing him would mean he was a prophet, he was the Messiah, he was the Son of God. Well, they didn't recognize him. And Jesus tells them that their blindness is sin. Now, we would like this story to have a happy ending. The man is still separated from the synagogue, and we do not know what happens to him. Is he really better off? This is one of the many loose ends that the Bible leaves us with. We're supposed to think about it, to ponder it. Okay, so let's ponder it a little bit. For John, the gospel writer, failure to believe in Jesus is blindness, spiritual blindness. Believing is really more about trusting, though, putting your faith in him. It's like the story of the man with the wire stretched across the Niagara Falls Gorge, about to push a wheelbarrow across. Believing that he can do it is one thing, but having faith that he will make it is another. It means that you would be willing to climb into that wheelbarrow. So that's the kind of believing that John is talking about in relation to Jesus. Believing that Jesus is the Messiah, Son of God, is one thing, but trusting in Jesus is the next step. When you trust in Jesus, you can be certain of his redeeming grace when it comes to your sinful nature. Are you ready to take a stand with Jesus? To get into his wheelbarrow? Now, are we ready to stand up for Jesus when others reject him? Now, I want you to forget about the image of standing up in that wheelbarrow. That's just going to be confusing. But are we followers of Christ? Are we really disciples? Or just watching from the sidelines? For John, it appears that believing in Jesus is the start. Out of believing comes commitment to follow. And that means loving God and our neighbors in all that we do. Now that sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Just loving God and our neighbors in all that we do.